Well, hi everyone. My name is Susy Kate Ngale. I am a senior in the McNair program. I am majoring in psychology and minoring in biology. And so through the mentor-student relationship with the McNair program, I've got to do research with Dr. Legursky over there and his graduate student, Rich. And so we have been looking at I'm gonna go back to my title page. So we've been measuring public interest in mass shootings over time. As you guys probably know, mass shootings have increased a lot in the United States, and it's been a lot more common. And so when you compare countries similar in socioeconomic success, the U.S. has the highest per capita rate of gun violence and a surge in mass shootings in the last two decades. And so the purpose of this study was just to see how public interest in these mass shootings have evolved over time. And so just like the frequency, an analysis gets conducted by the FBI on active shooter incidents in the United States. So if you look at 2013, you see 17 shootings, and then it's 20 for 2014, 2015, and 2016. But then when we get to 2017, it's at 30. And then this is just looking at active shooter incidents. It doesn't look at other tragedies that have happened in the U.S. And then so the FBI defines an active shooter as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a populated area. And then so we use online usage as a measure of public interest and Google Trends. And we are using Wikipedia right now. We do have some data, but we're still collecting data. I'm working on that. And so I'll just give you the background of the Google Trends study. So they use multiple online bases to identify dates and fatality rates of recent mass shootings in the U.S. And then so 19 of the deadliest shootings since 2006 were picked for this study. And then so changes in public interest in mass shootings were assessed by evaluating Google search history through Google Trends. And then Google Trends is just an online search tool that analyzes the popularity of top searches across various regions and languages. And so how it works is let's say if you use a term, I don't know, shooter, and then it so it gives you a graph of how many times people have searched that term using Google. And then so yeah, Google search history for the term shooting was evaluated. And then results from the study, the findings suggest that media consumers in the United States may be becoming less interested in mass shootings in recent years. And so if you look at, so that graph is just showing changes in slope for the term shooting over time. And then if you can see, as time goes on, less and less searches for shootings are happening, so people are using Google less to search for the term shooting. And then, so we hope to replicate the results of Wikipedia, and so we will be comparing reporting of mass shooting outlets such as Wikipedia, and so that can provide a means to evaluate fluctuations of public interest in these tragedies over time. And then, so as a continuation of the research conducted by Dr. Legursky and his colleagues, we are hoping to replicate the results obtained using Wikipedia. And then, so what we'll be looking at on Wikipedia, so we'll be using data available, and we'll be comparing the differences between the size of posts, frequency of edits, and the number of views over a period of time. And then, so event, shooter, and victim characteristics will be taken into account for this part of the study. Okay, and then so, bite size, that should be B-Y-T-E, not B-I-T-E, but it's being used as a measure of public interest. And then, so this graph, what this graph is showing, it's well, okay, let me explain what bite size is. So the more that people go on a page, let's say if you go on a Wikipedia page about a shooting that happened last year, it measures how many times people visit the page, and then so the more people go on the page, the more the bite size increases. And then so as you can see, as bite size increases, like over time, there's like less people going on these pages, and so it's okay. So right, it's non-significant when we control for things such as like the amount of times that people are coming and the amount of times, like the amount of edits that are being done on the page. But yeah, it's just like a nice thing to look at right now. We are still like doing stuff with Wikipedia, so it's just like the early stages right now. We still have a lot of longitudinal analysis to be done, so this is not final, it's in the very early stages. And then so conclusions, mass shooting incidents are becoming more frequent in the US. Public interest in these shootings seem to be declining over time. And then so many people are actually worried that, mass shootings are becoming the new normal, as people are becoming habituated and desensitized to these tragedies over time, which as sad as it is just our reality. And then, so limitations, the research was conducted with a very small sample size. Media consumers may be assessing their information through other mediums that still need to be assessed. Like we said, we only use Google Trends and Wikipedia to assess these. And then future directions, continual tracking of mass shootings and changes in search items, increase of sample size and allow for a more longitudinal complex analysis, incorporate our data, collection approaches and strategies, and then interview people about flashbulb memories. It. Any questions? Patrice.
How do you get permission, like from Wikipedia, to get the information from the bite sizes and things like that?
From what I know, Dr. Legursky might have a better answer to that.
Well, the neat stuff about these two data sources, Google Trends and Wikipedia, is that it's open source material. So all free, you can go to Wikipedia and you can archive the data there. So it's something that's available for everyone. So you don't need actual permission. There are some challenges because Wikipedia has only been online for a limited period of time. And same with Google. It really didn't become terribly popular until about 15 years ago. So we couldn't look at shootings before that time. So, for example, Columbine wasn't included because it just predated these media outlets. But, just to reiterate, it's open source for anyone, and it's very easy to use and to data mine.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, was how far back Google Trends went.
Mm-hmm.
So not Columbine, but what was the first mass shooting that it would have started with? Like in terms of data research, approximately.
2006 was the first one in, I think it said somewhere in here. Yeah, so 19 of the deadliest shootings since 2006, so the first would be 2006, yeah.
And that's really a limit, because the limitation on Google's part in terms of when they started making that data available.
Do you think that the interest in the trends of searching for shootings has decreased because of the desensitization, or do you think it's something else, or what do you personally, or the trend to?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the desensitization and habituation have a huge influence on that. I mean, if you look at it, people were searching for this term way more when it wasn't common. Like when we didn't have 30 active shooting events happening, people were searching for this term more. And so I would guess that habituation, and we hypothesize that the habituation of this is a huge influence on people searching for the term less.
Do you think? Do you think there's correlation between the 24-hour news cycle, and I don't really know when that would have started, between that and then the decrease in folks Googling active shooters, because you really can turn on the TV at any time of the day, and if there's a shooting that's occurring, typically there's, so potentially that might have a correlation.
So I can't say for sure just because we didn't look into that, but I would hypothesize that, that might be an effect. It might have an effect on it. Like I said, we didn't really do much research looking on that, but I think it could be a potential influence.
If I could add, can we go back to the graph with the first graph? Yeah, the Google.
Yeah.
So in some ways, this is controlling for that because this is a measure that data point is, there's one for each shooting, and what it's measuring is the slope of changes in the 2 weeks following each shooting. So basically, we looked at every day how many shooting searches were made, and we created a slope for each shooting in those 2 weeks. And so obviously on the first day, there's a big bump, right? That's the most popular, the first day after the shooting. But then it kind of trickles down. Now what we found is with the earlier shootings that people would look the second and third day pretty consistently. The line was flat. There's less of a change. Whereas the slope is much more pronounced in more recent shootings. So you see still a spike the first day. A couple days later, it just kind of drops down to nothing. People are not looking at it. So by measuring that change, you're kind of controlling for differences in usage, right? Some people are still looking at Google, looking up shootings on Google, but the next day, the following days afterwards, you see a reduction. And so that's kind of one way. Yeah, sure that some people are probably using other outlets, but yeah, there's probably other ways to measure that and to think about that. But in some ways, the methodology that we use is controlling for that a little bit.
Any more questions?
My question was, you used Google and Wikipedia for your databases.
Yeah.
Do you think people are searching less for mass shootings because of their other search engines, like other online databases?
And so, in our future directions, so we intend to use more other data collection approaches, and so that's other search engines, and then so we can find that. That might be why. We haven't gotten to that yet, so.
It would be interesting to look at Twitter, finding a way of data mining Twitter for this kind of stuff, because that's a lot of people use Twitter. So Facebook would be interesting too, but it's a closed network. It's not open to the public, so you can't data mine it quite as easily.
Any other questions?
And you did that only for active shooting, that was the search word?
Yeah, the search word was shooter. Shooter, yeah.
Well, I feel like recently, especially, we qualify people more as terrorists instead of just a simple shooter because there's so could that be a reason that people use other words instead of just shooter?
That potentially could be a reason. Yeah. Any comments, questions? No?